dreaming lately, always the same old nightmare, that I am drowning in the ocean, trying to keep from going under. I can hear the sound of the thunder in the distant sky. Since you came out of nowhere, life came out of nowhere. I miss the good old days, and what I thought was what I would say, and what I gave was what I got. But I've been thinking lately a lot about what is worth it and what is not. Since you came out of nowhere, life came out of nowhere. So hold me close and take my hand. All I want is for you to understand that my heart was broken and I can't pretend. So I'll never hide my heart again. No. My bad, I was mistaken to think things always turn out fine. I have plenty more reasons to not believe in wrong and right. And it's sad how fast things happen to make you reconsider who you thought you were. And it's my life, I had my reasons. Don't hate me for what I've done. Just hold me close and take my hand. All I want is for you to understand that my heart was broken and I can't pretend. So I'll never hide my heart again. Just hold me close and take my hand. All I want is for you to understand that my heart was broken and I can't pretend. So I'll never hide my heart again. No, I'll never hide my heart again. No, I'll never hide my heart again. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And welcome. This is a really exciting and fun thing for me to be doing. It's celebrating the release of the first track of the collection of songs for the album Butterfly. it's the first step on a journey, the first chapter of this story that I'm telling, which, yeah, it's about my life, but I hope that it encapsulates a story that's similar to maybe stories that we all go through, a story of growth and personal change and transformation, and the experience of taking big challenges in life and really grabbing them and figuring out who am I in all of this, and what part did I play, and how can I be better? How can I grow? How can I change? How can I step more fully into the person that I'm becoming? So that song was called Hold Me Close and Take My Hand, and it was the first song that was written in this collection, and I remember very clearly how and where and why. I was living in an apartment at the time with a beautiful housemate of mine who was a friend growing up. She was actually a guitar student of my dad, which was very cool. And I had just moved. I'd grown up in the country, and this housemate had grown up with me in that country town. So we both came from very similar backgrounds. We both come from Middle Eastern backgrounds, so it was almost like living with a big sister. And I was studying my second year of university, a Bachelor of Music at the Melbourne Conservatorium. I was studying classical music. And at the time that I moved out, it was a really rocky time for me personally. It was a bit crazy. My relationship with my family was a little bit interesting. Something had happened that had just rocked the boat. And music was my way of processing all of that. And when I moved out, I didn't have a piano. And as, well, anyone I guess who knows me and who's listened to my first album or knows about my piano, my classical piano playing, that piano is my first love. I started playing the piano when I was 5. My dad actually is the guitarist, and he's also a singer-songwriter. And he had gotten really into, at that time, traditional Celtic music, and he had been playing a lot of music in a tuning called Dadgad, which is the tuning that I'm currently using. And so I had all of this emotion going on. I really needed to figure my stuff out, figure out how I was feeling, process it all. And I didn't have an instrument. If I wanted to play an instrument, I had to go to university, and the rooms were dark and cold and noisy, and there were always lines. It just wasn't ideal. But my housemate had a guitar, and she so generously let me play her guitar. She had a full-time job. I was the typical 19, 20-year-old music student. I had a few classes during the week, and don't get me wrong, I worked hard. I had 2 jobs to pay the rent, and I was studying quite hard, but I had a lot of time at home, and so I would sit and I remember sitting in the lounge room. We didn't have much when we first moved in. I don't even think we had a couch for the first little while. We had a couch eventually, but maybe not in the beginning. And I remember we had these huge windows, similar to the windows I have in my studio now. I always love playing music in rooms with big windows. And they would look out to the west. Also the same as the windows I have now. And in the afternoons, I'd get the sun just shining into my bedroom and into the living room. And I would sit and I would play and I would just write. And the first thing that I tried to do when my housemate lent me her guitar, I sat down, I realized I couldn't really play anything in standard tuning. And then I thought, what happens if I try Dadgad? So I tuned it into Dadgad. And then I remembered that my father had written this little and he's since showed me me what it is that he actually wrote. And it's not that, but that was my approximation of it. So don't think I've just completely stolen a riff. It was the only thing that I could play, and I just spent hours figuring out the sounds. And so you'll hear a lot of similar sounds on this album. Hold Me Close and Take My Hand was the first experiment in this, and it was also the first song that I wrote processing all of this emotion and figuring all of this out. And so you'll hear the first line. I've been dreaming lately, always the same old nightmare, that I am drowning in the ocean. To me that seems pretty self-explanatory, but it's this sense of just so much going on, I can't keep up. And I was having nightmares, and that's true. I was having nightmares about drowning. And this sense of something coming in the distance, the sound of the thunder. Trying to keep from going under. I can hear the sound of the thunder in the distant sky. This sense of something on the horizon that's coming to just envelop and pour all over you, and the rain's coming, the storm's coming, it's there, it can't be held off. And then since you came out of nowhere, life came out of nowhere. This idea of life throwing things at you that you just can't understand sometimes. And then we've got, I miss the good old days, when what I thought was what I would say, and what I gave was what I got. I'd kind of learnt at that stage how to fit in a bit better. When I was younger, I used to just say what I thought. I used to just live what I believed, and then I was a country girl, so I grew up really sheltered, and then got to the city, and I think it's that really typical story of that innocence and that naivety really were challenged, and I started thinking to myself, well, maybe I'm not. I questioning my decisions, questioning my beliefs, questioning my values. And there was this sense of things just not being fair. And life isn't fair, that's true. What I gave was what I got. Well, it wasn't like that anymore. I felt like I was giving and giving and giving and giving. And it just kept getting taken and taken and taken and taken. I didn't feel any sense of reciprocity. And it was really draining. And then we have, but I've been thinking lately a lot about what is worth it and what is not, and how all of these experiences started making me look at my priorities and look at my values and think, what is it that I really do hold precious in life? And then again, since you came out of nowhere, etc. Same idea before. Since life threw new people at me and threw things at me that I just couldn't understand. And then we've got this chorus. So hold me close and take my hand. All I want is for you to understand that my heart was broken and I can't pretend, so I'll never hide my heart again. Again, I think that's kind of self-explanatory. Hold me close and take my hand. All I want is for you to understand. That was a real asking, calling out for some kind of solidarity. I had people around, but I felt very much on my own. And the person that mattered to me most of the time was gone. The person that I thought could help me was not around. And I wrote that chorus kind of asking them. They were coming back. I knew they were coming back. And I wrote that chorus as a request, kind of asking, well, when you're back, I just want you to hold me close and tell me that it's okay. And of course, as all tragedies go, that didn't happen. I didn't get that at all. It was not okay, and that person did not do that. That my heart was broken and I can't pretend, so I'll never hide my heart again. My heart was broken and I couldn't pretend. I couldn't stop crying. I was crying on the tram. I was crying at university. I was just crying all of the time. I felt really sorry for anyone who was, had to sit next to me on the tram or at the bus stop or whatever. I was so distressed. My heart was broken and I could not pretend. And then I was in so much pain, and I just thought, what is it that got me here? How did I get here? And the answer that came was that I hadn't been honest with myself. Forget other people. I hadn't been honest with myself. I hadn't been honest with myself about what I wanted. So I'll never hide my heart again. That was a promise to myself that I was always gonna try and be honest as much as I could to myself. Not necessarily, it wasn't an external thing. I wasn't thinking, I'm always gonna speak my mind. I'm always gonna stand up for what I believe in. I mean, I do those things too in my own way. But I made a commitment to myself to always say what I thought was true for me in my own mind, to always kind of align what I was doing and what I was saying with my values. So that was a real learning experience. And then we've got the bridge for any music nuts out there. We've got the my bad, I was mistaken to think things always turn out fine. I have plenty more reasons to not believe in wrong and right. And it's sad how fast things happen to make you reconsider who you thought you were. And it's my life. I had my reasons. Don't hate me for what I've done. More expansions on a theme there. Just more. My bad, I was mistaken to think things always turn out fine. Well, that was the belief that I'd had. Things had always turned out fine for me in my life, and then suddenly they didn't. That's cool too, growing up. I have plenty more reasons to not believe in wrong and right. Things became a lot more grey at that time. I had to kind of reevaluate my life, and I did have a choice of greying the moral lines in order to justify the choice that I had made. But I kind of decided not to do that, and I'm glad that I did. It's sad how fast things happen to make you reconsider who you thought you were. I don't believe that anymore. I kind of like that. I like that aspect of constant change and constant growth. At the time, that was really hard. It's my life. I had my reasons. Don't hate me for what I've done. This idea of I guess I just didn't want to be judged by myself or by others. And then we've got the chorus. Just hold me close and take my hand. All I want is for you to understand. And so on and so forth. And that's the song. There you go. That's the story behind the song. And I've had a couple of other interpretations given to me by close friends who have listened and kind of told me how they've responded. Love to hear how you've responded. The song comes out on May 26th, which is very exciting. You can listen to it on Spotify, on Apple Play, on my website, on my Bandcamp page. It'll basically be available on all streaming platforms. And it's recorded with the full band, which is very exciting and a whole story in and of itself. But I just wanted to say thank you to the band publicly. We've got Anne Metry on bass, Nathan Brinko on drums, Chris Munn on cello, and the engineering prowess of Joshua Hennessy and Kieran Parker from Pivotal Music. This album and these songs would not be the same without the team that's behind them. I know most of the time you just see me with my piano or me with my guitar, but I have a whole team of incredible musicians who bring their own flair and style to the songs. And actually, in my favorite part of the recording is that in the middle of it, there's a whole almost minute-long cello solo, which Chris was very excited about, or maybe apprehensive about, but it's beautiful, and he's done such a good job capturing the feeling of the song, as has Anne and as has Nathan. This music has come to life through them, and it wouldn't be the same without them. And I love it. I love the way it sounds, and I love the way they've captured the feeling that I was putting out there. They've really done a really amazing job. Oh, and my dad plays on the album, which I thought was a beautiful head nod to the fact that a lot of my musicianship comes from my father, and the dad playing in Dadgad also comes from my dad. A lot of my songwriting skills again come from my dad, so my dad's on there on the steel string, and of course I'm playing this beautiful instrument. This is my musical baby, Ruby, I've named her, and she was built by the incredible Brent Bunter from Gourlay Music. So I'm so privileged to have a custom-made Australian guitar, who again is just absolutely stunning. So I really hope you enjoy the track. Feel free to get in touch if you've got questions or comments. I'd love to hear from you, and there'll be links in the comments and in my bios for you to find it once it's released on May 26th. Thank you.